what have you seen is the one mistake that artists actually make when looking at their analytics and they misread the analytics? What comes to mind when you see artists like jumping into the analytics for the first time and they're just completely misreading it and it could be to their detriment?
Um, I haven't seen. I won't say like people making mistakes from reading their analytics. I mean, the mistake is not reading them. You know what I mean? That would be what I would say is like the mistake is not paying attention to them. But I will say this: like a lot of people, when they look at the analytics, they don't know the difference between they don't know how to identify a hit record or identify potential. Let's just call it. They don't know how to identify potential. That was one of my biggest blessings early on. Is I got to see so many analytics that I became like an expert at. Like it's
Yeah.
like stocks. Like if you're a stock person, you can read it so well that you could begin to tell the future. You know what I mean? Because you know, and so that's how I am with analytics and streaming. Like I can read it so well that I can tell you when something's going to be a hit. I can tell you when something should. And so I would say their mistake is not reading it at all. You know what I mean? But what I would advise them to do when it comes to analytics. So content, again, everything is pretty much revolves around content right now. That's just the era we're in, but content moves streams, you know what I mean? And so when you see that jump in your streams, it's going to be related to a piece of content or multiple pieces. So my job is always to go and find what piece of content moved the streams so I can replicate it, so I can share it with more people. You know what I mean? Whether that be my content that we made on our artist page or user generated content, that doesn't really matter to me. I just want to find that content because if that content made the streams jump from 100 daily streams to 1,000 daily streams, there's something there.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that piece of content. I'm going to share, like, say, let's say it's user generate. I'm going to share it on my artist page. I'm going to take it from their page and put it on our page. I'm going to I'm gonna share it across all his social media platforms. Then I'm gonna figure out, is it trendable? Like, will multiple people do something like this? Because if it is, then I'm gonna hire multiple people to do something like it. I'm not gonna wait. I'm gonna hire them. But if it's not, then I'm just gonna say, okay, how can we make more content like this? You know what I mean? Like, if people obviously love this. Okay, let's say it was a piece of content where a girl is out on a date with their boyfriend, and it's just something cute about the way she fed him. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go to my artist and I'm like, hey, bro, where's your girl at? Literally,
Right.
y'all need to go out on a date and capture some video in a similar format, and let's see if we can replicate this. You know what I mean? Like all we're doing is just trying to spread the music. But the way to spread the music is through content. So if I can give you a good piece of content, I can up the streams. And once we up the streams, what that does is now more people hear the song. Now my likelihood of a user making the piece of content that's going to change our lives goes up. You know what I mean? Even going back to hours and hours, we put that song out there and a certain person made a piece of content that I saw and I was like, okay, this could be a trend. But they wouldn't have been able to make that content had they not heard the song.
Yeah.
And so my job is to put it in front of as many people as possible so they can hear the song and hopefully it sparks something in them to go create a piece of content that can one day change our lives.
Yeah, no, I love that. So you're basically telling artists make associations or correlations of what the data is telling you and how is
Mhm.
that is correlating or resulting the streams and things
Yeah.
like that. And the fact that number one mistake is not looking at the analytics. That's
Yeah,
another
because
one.
imagine when it jumped from 100 to 1,000 streams. Imagine if we missed that because we never looked. We never would have found that piece of content that could have potentially
Right.
sparked this song being a hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just would have went unnoticed and we would have kept going about our lives wondering, when we're gonna finally get our hit record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why we pay attention to the analytics literally every day.
Yeah. One thing I can offer, remember we were talking about this, it's your one percenters group as well. The one mistake that I'm unfortunately seeing because of what the music industry has become, specifically with the Spotify, bullshit Spotify bot streams, is that artists
Yeah.
make a mistake only looking at their Spotify account after they got on the playlist, thinking that is real traffic, and making a mistake of not looking at Apple Music,
Yeah.
Amazon, and everything else, and asking critical questions like, okay, so I just got 100,000 streams and 20,000 listeners, but how come it's not
Translating to the
trickling
other
down
platform.
anywhere else, right? Because there's no
Yeah.
content to tie that to. They think that the playlist is now making them famous, and that's one thing I would say is be careful with that, because unfortunately, music industry is one of the most unregulated industries out there, and there's no watchdogs. And if the artists fall for that, you know, you may have to fall for that multiple times, waste a lot of money, and hopefully not ruin your Spotify account and don't get kicked off. But that's one thing I would tell people to watch out when it comes to analytics.